Good morning. Good morning. You are watching live on LinkedIn Breakfast and Combos. I'm your host, Liberty White, video marketing specialist.
And I'm Adeola, digital marketing expert.
And today we've got a great show for you. We're always going to say we have a great show for you. But in light of the past heavy week and weekend, we're going to get into, of course, reminding everybody to vote and just talking about that for a bit. And then we'll get into corporate responsibility with social media and how companies are responding to these protests. And we'll wrap up with some tips to help you with your digital marketing. So, T,
Yeah.
let's get into it.
Yeah. It has been, these are interesting times, very interesting times that we live in. And since our last show on last Thursday, like Ben and Jerry's probably came out the hardest of anybody. Right. Like they went straight for it. They came out dismantle white supremacy. I mean, there's not a lot more. I mean, you can't get more blunt than that. And then we
Oh, and for
had,
those who don't know, if you might have missed last week's episode, and we can't forget to say good morning
good
to
morning.
everyone who is watching. And if you're watching the replay, we always ask to let us know that you're watching the replay. And we've been getting a morning crew with us here, Breakfast in Cabo. So really appreciating that. But last week we touched on Ben and Jerry's and them and their statement on Black Lives Matter, and they went in and they put out this was on social media as well, and they added recommendations. So it wasn't just them saying yes, we support this and we're against racial injustice and police brutality, but they had pinpoints. So that is what T is. I just wanted to like give some context
Mhm.
for those who might not know.
Thank you. And then since then, the mayor of DC painted big old Black Lives Matter on a street. I mean, this is really unprecedented. And if you guys don't know, Twitter is my favorite social media platform,
It
bar
is.
none, because it's an instant litmus test. I mean, the feedback is near immediate and it's
Yeah.
just raw, it's uncut. When I had my old podcast, I got most of my guests from Twitter. It was very easy for me to do that. So anyway, CrossFit CEO made some ill-advised tweets that frankly were racist, and it cost him his relationship with Reebok as well as many gym owners. And so, this is a perfect example of why some corporations are very gun shy when it comes to the Twitterverse and social media because that's not the place to be playing games, and that is not the place to be making ill-advised tweets, because even if you delete the tweet, folks can screenshot it on their phone. Like it's too late. Once it's out there, it's out there, right?
In the
And
world.
this cost and this cost CrossFit HQ money, like
Mm.
because their contract was already up at the end of 2020, so they were in negotiations. But after that display, Reebok was like, okay, so we're going to go through with the rest of 2020 per our obligations and per what we agreed to, but we will not be renewing your contract. Like as of December 31st, 2020, we're done. And like, listen, you can't do that. Like, I mean, obviously you can. He's the CEO. He can do whatever you want to do, but like,
Right.
there are consequences for that, right? And so we're now in the age of accountability and authenticity, because it's like, listen, you're going to be held to account for what you say and what you do, and if those things don't match, be prepared to for what comes with that. And so this was just one of several examples that we can cite, but yeah, the blowback was swift and immediate. Liberty, what are your thoughts?
when I saw that, I was like, why is Twitter? Because that's on, I like how you said that Twitter, the feedback is instant. And I was like, why is CrossFit trending? I was like, oh, that's why. And I really wonder what, I always take it back to like, let's take a step back and see like, what is the board saying? What are they saying now that, and I'm very visual. So just the animation of like that money just going like down the drain with that. But what this is doing, this time period, is, yes, you said the authenticity part of it, but the accountability that after all these corporations put their statements out and have been sharing. Last week was Blackout Tuesday, that now people are not just looking at, okay, is the company that I invest in, are they standing up? Are they saying something? But now, does it align with their brand? Does it align with who they are? Because then it won't be a surprise when you see them say things. But it's good that, I'm so happy that you brought this news item up, because then it shows us the other side of things and how that will impact brands and companies, which it goes into it's like another catch 22 is, okay, so the folks that are the folks that are going to try to save their bottom line. So they recognize that they have to step out and say something, but only time will really tell on the impact, not only for them, but their consumers and their brands, how they will really respond to that. So I really want to see data. I really want to see more data. And I know that TP Insights, the plug, that they're working on that project as well. Of just like, remember, I think it was last week that I shared as like, okay, accountability. Can we see something? Is there a watchdog organization that will follow up in like 3, 6, 9, whatever the number of months? And like the next day I saw that the plug was, I was like, you know what, Cheryl, you're on it. You're really on it. Hi.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it's needed because, and let's be very clear, because I know this confuses a lot of people. Because for context, I'm from Dayton, Ohio. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, Tanya.
Uh,
Tanya is in it. She's part of our morning crew. And Tanya says, right, Twitter is not the place to play games and to know.
no,
And if
it ain't.
anyone who is watching who is might not know some of the jargon used around Twitter, but there's such a thing called Black Twitter. So to know that all of these issues are
Savage.
happening,
So savage.
that is it. They I don't know if they're necessarily behind cancel culture, but in a heartbeat, you will get dragged or annihilated, for my gamer folks that might be watching. So to see that this took place on Twitter, you know what? Another example would be, it's the equivalent of the Hive, the Bay Hive. Like if anybody
Beehive,
comes
yeah.
for Beyonce, the Hive is after them. Likewise, you step the wrong way on Twitter, Black Twitter's coming for you.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because I know this confuses a lot of people, because I'm from Southwest Ohio. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and I live in Cincinnati right now. And I have a lot of white friends, a lot of white rural friends, and they don't get it. And it's, consciousness being woke, whatever you want to call it. It's a process, not an event, right? And something I want my friends to understand and really hear me on is, no one is expecting you to be liberal if you're not liberal. No one is expecting you to espouse morals that you don't assign to. What we are expecting you is to be a human being. And
That's good.
part of being a human being is this thing known as empathy. So when you see something wrong happen, like, I don't know, someone being murdered because someone sat on their neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, that as a fellow Homo sapien, as a fellow human being, that should do something. Like that should elicit a certain response, right? And so again, we're not asking you to be fake. We're not asking you to be phony. That's exactly what you should not do, because there are consequences for that, which we'll get to a little later in the show. But what we are saying is, companies are ran by people.
Yeah.
And we expect those people to uphold certain, morals and certain values and behave in a particular way. And when that doesn't happen, then yes, you can expect to be held accountable to that. So again, I really want to make that clear because I know it, like you said, cancel culture. I've been dropping them left and right. And I know that they've been blocking me because some folks I just don't see in my timeline anymore because they know what it is with me. Like you know
Right.
what it is when you come over on this side. So, but again, I really want to make that point. Like, no one is expecting you to be something you're not, but we are expecting you not to be, evil.
And I was trying to, I'm always here behind, like, yes, hosting, but behind the boards. And I was trying to find, there was a post that I saw last night with a young lady who was protesting. I hope I screenshot, like screenshotting. It's like the bookmark for IG, but she had a sign up that said, Black lives, denying that when Black lives don't matter, all lives don't matter. And I might have got the words a little off, but I was like, you know what? She put that so well. And you can't say those folks that there are some people, and I to your point of brands that are having some issues or have had put some content out on social media, the Happy Planner. There's one of those planners. You've got the Passion Planner, the upcoming DIY video marketing planner as well.
I like it.
But
I
the
like it.
Happy
Yeah.
Planner, they put something out, a post out saying that all lives matter. And their community came for them. The reason I brought up that brand in the midst of this post is, well, in this whole the protest and this movement, when you are saying, if you cannot say that Black lives matter, you cannot say that all lives matter, because that's what's
Hmm.
happening right now. So that's why I'm saying, like, that just that post was, it just succinctly put it together, because it seems like there are people and brands that are having issues with, like, wanting to say, well, no, 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 we're for everybody, and not getting it that, like, but right now in this period of time, there is this, there's this part of the community that is hurting and they need attention. And to just go back to the Happy Planner for a moment, this is what they did right. And we might go to another topic, but I do want to come back and pull in, I'll try to whip up a graphic really quickly and pull in their posts, because in them basically saying we got it wrong. And that's equally as important as of us having that conversation for brands, for people, for, organizations that are able to recognize they made a mistake. Of course, behind the scenes, that is also like, how genuine is that? Because is it just because people came for you, or people had something to say, or do you genuinely mean that? And according to the comments, there were a lot of people who also defended the Happy Planner, to say, listen, they were part of Blackout Tuesday, like they stopped. And for those who are not familiar with Blackout Tuesday, that was last week when organizations and brands that were non-Black organizations and brands paused, and they were making a concert effort to amplify the voices of Black businesses, other Black brands, and influencers. So it was good to see that. Like, this is, and we're going into another conversation with that as well, but it's good to see that when you are, this is not just, social media is not just doing content. It is a reflection of your business. It is a reflection of your brand. It is a reflection of why you serve your customers and your audience. So it's really good to see how their community, came out for them. What are you thinking on that, T? Just hearing that.
I loved every bit of it because
Mhm.
something, and we talked about this before, something that was always implied and understood to Black people about Black Lives Matter was the two at the end, right? The TOO, Black Lives Matter two. So it was never about saying our lives matter and therefore your lives don't. That was never the point. So
Right,
the reactionary of all lives matter has always been about deflection and confusion because that was never what Black Lives Matter was about. We were
right,
just saying, okay, to your point, this issue needs attention right now, specifically. And any attempt to divert or, disperse that will be met with backlash because like, no, this cannot be, there's no diversion. There's no diversion. So either you're with us or you're on the other side. And if
Right.
you're on the other side, be prepared for what you can expect on the other side. And so I'm really glad that they were able to recognize where they got it wrong and come out and make an apology. Because again, it's a process, not an event. No one is expecting you to be perfect, but it's like this is the issue right now.
Right.
This is what we are talking about. And if you cannot get down with that, then you're part of the problem, plain and
Yeah.
simple. And so you're on the other side. So if so, either you're with us or you're on the other side. In the story, there is no third option. Like you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. All lives matter. You're part of the problem. That
There it
right
is.
there is part of the problem. And so I'm really glad that they were able to have that conversation and have that again realization. Because listen, nobody wakes up Malcolm X. Even Malcolm X didn't wake up Malcolm X. He went through his whole process of being Detroit Red and then getting locked up and finding religion. And even in religion, he was with the Nation of Islam and he wasn't with the nation. So it's like it's a process, not an event. So no one is expecting you to get it right out the gate. What we are expecting, however, again, is for you to be a human being and show a certain level of empathy. And if you lack empathy, and if you don't have those characteristics, you can expect a consequence for that.
Right. And I want to jump in here and just like, because I was able to quickly pull that up. So they said, we humbly apologize for our post on Monday. The best apology is change behavior. So we've removed the post from our feed. We stand in solidarity against racism and injustice. We want to make our position clear. Black Lives Matter. So, as I'm scrolling, this is people, coming to their rescue. Some people have said, like, wait a minute, you guys posted it. So that means that you meant it. But again, as I shared, going back to, that was their Blackout Tuesday. So
Mhm.
they were a part of it. Like they were trying
Yeah,
to make change. So this is one of those companies that it will be, the proof is in the pudding as they proceed. So and you had a question for our audience.
absolutely. So well, this is a question that someone asked me that I wanted to pose to the audience, and so we can give an answer to. Why are some companies getting backlash for supporting Black Lives Matter and others aren't? And the answer to that is authenticity. That in one word, authenticity. Some companies are able to jump out like Nike, like Ben and Jerry, and
Yeah.
come really, really hard and really, really strong because that's a part of their brand. Whereas other companies, it twinges disingenuous. And a perfect example of that is Reddit. So Reddit CEO has drawn some criticism from their former CEO, former
Mm.
interim CEO, because they came out with a blanket, oh, we support Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 blah. And then the former CEO was like, look, I'm obligated to call you out because Reddit amplifies a lot of, Donald Trump's message and gives Donald Trump a platform. And so she basically said her name was Ellen Powell. She's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't, amplify Donald Trump's hate and racism and profit from his advertising dollars and then turn around and make a statement on Black Lives Matter. That's not how that works. And I loved every bit of it. I really did. I if that made my heart happy to see that because again, this is their former CEO. So it's not as though this is some random internet troll. No, no, this was the former head of the ship
Right.
talking
Not
to
a
them.
disgruntled employee
Yeah.
who just got laid off or anything. No,
Mm-mm.
this was former head boss lady in
Yeah,
charge.
former boss lady talking to her successor, like, no, 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 no. That's not going to fly.
Right.
And this brings up a conversation, a broader conversation, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox here for a little bit. I'm gonna try not to stay on there too much, but this brings up the conversation about brand marketing versus performance marketing. So I'm a professional digital marketer. I've run search, social media, and email marketing campaigns for some of the largest companies in the world, including Procter and Gamble. And I've always been in what's called D2C or DTC, which is direct to consumer. And direct to consumer is all performance based. So meaning for every dollar that I put in, how many dollars do I get back out? Right. And so there's another type of marketing, which we call traditional marketing, is more brand focused marketing. So, like TV ads or TV commercials or billboards or radio, where it's not a dollar in, dollar out sort of thing. That because you can't really measure that in the same way, but it does do a lot to go towards brand building. And good brand building is the gift that keeps on giving. Because if you do branding properly, in situations like this, where there's a global pandemic or there's civil unrest or there's all these other things, that lets you come out and take a strong position because it's on brand. Whereas with D2C, it's about, it's more transactional in nature. It's about buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Here's a coupon code. Go to this, download this white paper, do this. D2C is about having someone take an action right now. Whereas branding isn't about that. Branding is about building a relationship over time so that when you are in a buying mode and when you are ready to make a decision, they're top of mind and they go with you because you built that relationship. And that's been sort of an internal conversation in the marketing field that a lot of us younger marketers, us millennials, our younger folk, we don't know how to brand build because we came of age in a digital era, and because we came in an age in a digital area, it's all performance. It's all performance. It's all I spent X, I got Y, or this is what the data says, data this, data that. And some of the older marketers feel like sort of the soul of marketing has been lost a little bit. And mind you, old folks ain't never happy. I mean, let's just put it out there. I love all my older folks. I'm a generation, but you just can't please some boomers. Hey, boomer. And so that's really part of it. So stepping back off of my soapbox, I know I went in there for a little bit. Good morning, sir. How are you? But why are you crying? What's so upsetting? But yeah. So that is why branding is so important and what good brand building will do for you.
Yeah, I'm just going back through some of the comments here. So Tanya says that when a company receives backlash for supporting Black Lives Matters, it reveals who their customers are. That
Ooh, that's good.
she
That's
she
real
went
good.
layers. She took it there. She's like, no surface stuff, like layers. And it's true. And what that affords others to also see is, okay, is that where we keep saying this, while we talk a lot, we have some times where we're talking about businesses and growth and all of that. That is this where I'm going to invest my dollars? Am I going to invest my dollars in this kind of company, knowing their stance on certain issues, not just this Black light? This is what's highlighted right now. This is what we're spotlighting right now. But there are so many other issues. So it is definitely important for us to know where we are putting our dollars. And I do want to jump over to
Real quick,
again.
before you jump
Yep.
over, and this can go to layer deeper, Tanya. Not all. Good morning, Justin. Not all money is good money. You know what I'm saying? So if you alienate some people from your base because you take a certain stance, maybe they didn't need to be there in the first place. Maybe, and that's just another way to think of it. I know that
It's
again,
a
when you're
really
looking
good
at
way
the
to think
hard
of it. Yeah.
dollars and you're looking at the money, like, oh, we're losing customers. Well, if your customers belong to the clan, did you really want them there in the first place? You know what I mean? So it's like again, not all money's good money.
Right.
So if people Even going back when Kaepernick became the spokesperson for Nike, with people burning Nikes that they already paid for. Hello, but if they're mad about you going with Colin Kaepernick, then they weren't your customer in the first place.
Yeah.
Not all money's good money.
Yeah, and it even I like how you brought it to like, wait, did you is that your the right audience? So because your audiences can change based on your product development as well. So that's a good point. So the comments are flying. I want to go to Facebook for a second with Samantha, and she's out there in the thick of it, like out there in DC, and that might be a good tie-in because I did find the photo with Mayor Bauer out there, but she just said, I cannot believe anyone is confused. Predatory capitalism protects the status quo and maintains structural racism and white supremacy. So
There you have it. Yep.
we brought the heavy hitting folks out this morning
Good
on
morning.
breakfast and combo. So yes, good morning everyone, and I'm gonna come bring it back to LinkedIn as well. So Justin, good morning, Justin. He said solid points. Good brand building is the gift that keeps on giving, and he continues. Branding is about building a relationship over time. So when they're ready to buy, they can go with you because you've built a relationship with them.
There you have it.
Business development. That if anything, I was gonna say it's passive, but it's not because you have to work
Mm,
very hard and invest a lot of time, sweat equity, and dollars into creating a good brand. But yes, it's the investment that keeps on giving.
like
And
relationship building is not passive in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
right,
It
I was
doesn't
like,
matter
it's
if
gonna
it's
be
romantic or
no, it's
business.
not.
No,
It's not passive.
exactly.
All
Hmm.
right.
For a past CEO to criticize the position of the current CEO, it's political. I guarantee the last CEO has interest as a stockholder and didn't want the stock to drop or lose customers. Uh, Valid point. Valid point.
That is a really good way to look at that. Look at that. And again, we're getting ready to wind down, or we're past the halfway mark. So that's why I'm like, we're getting ready. We're not gone yet. So keep watching. We've still got more for you.
I'm
But this
chilling.
is Breakfast and Convos, and we are remote live streaming.
Super
And this
chill.
morning, all even the kids are up. We've got on that end. I don't know if you can hear breakfast being made on this side, but that's a part of our programming, part of our brand and our identity of keeping it 100 all the way, because we are parents who
We're
are
parents.
producing this broadcast from the comfort of our homes, but sharing it with you because there's so much. We're not going to let COVID stop us, or even what is just the climate, because there's so much for us to learn as this is going on. And speaking of people who are not letting things stop them, there are protests that are going on around the world on behalf of Black Lives Matter, and we shared last week about seeing things in Paris and New Zealand, and now this is in Thailand. And now Thailand is still under quarantine, but they didn't let that stop them. Like on Zoom, they are on Zoom protesting to still allow their voices to be heard. And it is compelling the way that video is also playing a role in the protests and in people getting their messages out. We see from TikTok, and I'm just putting this as like a note to self and us, that I do want to delve a little bit more into TikTok as well, because we know that is the video platform. It was originally musically was it, so that's where see a lot of the music influence there, because that was the original, the base of the platform, and then they got acquired and changed to TikTok. But to see Gen Z, that the content that they are creating and sharing there, and some of the content and how they're using it to express themselves and communicate their feelings of what is happening. So taking it from Thailand, they're like, no, we still want to make sure that our voice is heard, and doing this via Zoom, which also need to talk about their earnings have gone through the roof. as we that's not a surprise to anyone because they are one of the breakout stars through COVID-19. But the just overall how video is playing in how we communicate and how people are participating in the protests.
Absolutely. Like I said, solidarity. Solidarity, whether it's Zoom or an image showing solidarity, like, listen, either you're with us or you're on the other side. Simple as that. And if you're with us, then be with us. You know what I mean? It doesn't take anything away from you. Saying that a Black Lives Matter does not automatically say also white lives. No, no, no. It's not a zero sum game. Like, we can all matter. Like,
Right.
right? That's the beauty of abundance. Everybody matters. That's why it's abundance. So it's not a zero sum sort of thing. And as far as video, yeah, Zoom is doing really, really well. Something that I have been particularly impressed with by Zoom is how they bounce back after the initial shenanigans of folks crashing Zoom meetings. That
Yes.
could have gone really, really bad, but it didn't. It was like a blip, and it happened. Thank you, Tanya. We do it for you. We do it for you, Tanya, and we hello, Trina. Um, and we really do it for you. Sylvia, hello.
I just had
We
to
do it
because
for you guys.
this is the most interactive show on LinkedIn Live. So we had to make sure that we are communicating and engaging with everyone who is. Thank you so much, guys. And even Facebook is going off here. But to your point, that Zoom, they were able to bounce back. I like how we're balancing it out today. We're not just talking about winners and losers, but how people were able to, their flubs and able to course correct.
And again, it's a part of the journey. No one is expecting perfection. No one is expecting perfection, but we are expecting you to know what your true north is. And when you know what your true north is and you're true to that, you'll be rewarded. And when you're not, you can expect a consequence. Simple as that. And so this has been a great conversation. I'm really glad that we had it. And Zoom, again, this was an acceleration of a trend, right? Zoom was already doing well.
Right.
And what I'm curious, and I can dig into this because I mean we had a slight faux pas where Google Meets was adding automatically upgraded everybody and started adding Google Meet to your invite if you do a calendar invite. So if you send an invite, it will automatically put a Google Meet link. So I thought we were on Google Meets and we were
Right.
really on Zoom. And so I'm texting you like, yo, it's not like her to be late. Like, what's going on? So I'm on Google Meet. She's on Zoom. But the Zoom link was further down in the invitation because they put the Google Meet front and center. So I'm
Right.
curious to see, and that was a blatant attempt to try to, steal market share from that market leader because Zoom has the lion's share of video sharing. So I'm curious to see whether or not, and there probably won't be any numbers on this for a few months, if that ploy worked and if Google was able to steal some market share. I know me personally, I have started to use Google Meet more.
Really?
Just because it's a lot easier for me. It's already in Google. Like you can in your inbox. You can do it in your inbox. So if you're in Gmail, you just click the expand that tab and it pops out and you can schedule a meeting right there. So it's simpler for me just because Google already has so much.
Right.
But again, when you're talking about inculcating a new behavior, which I know that's a big 50 cent word, it just means, ingraining the new behavior. But when you're talking about inculcating a new behavior, it's a lot easier to keep someone in a platform they're already familiar with versus getting them to switch to another app. However, and our friend Christopher Lockhead talks about this, we got to get him on the show. Zoom is the category king
Yes.
in video conferences. They're the category king, period. So, and it is nigh impossible to unseat a category king. Now, it happens, and but it usually takes a very long time, and it takes a lot of money, both of which Google have. So
And
I'm
that's why they
curious.
they did
Yeah.
that slick move very
Mhm.
quickly. Like Zoom, let's think about it. We're almost to, hey, our next show will be 90 days from the NBA announcement. It was March 11th. I will never forget that date when they said they
Wow.
would cancel. So on Thursday on our show, that will be 90 days that we have been quarantining. Well, at least from the North American side of things. And so for Zoom to have taken that market share, and then for Google to realize, okay, they're getting close to that 3 month mark. I've said this before, all of those techs, anyone who is coding or developing or behind the scenes, those are essential workers too, because they keep us afloat. And for them to
Mhm.
have pulled that stop out, that was a boss move on Google's part. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
just had to,
No,
yes.
no, no, by all means. But yeah, that's a great point. So I'm just again, this is all fresh, this is all new. Data is trailing, right? Like it takes a while for the data to, analyze it and blah blah blah. But I'm curious to see if Google managed to get a little pinch of Zoom's pie because yeah, they sure did slide it in real slick, confused the hell out of us, and we're like, hold on, where you at? I can't see you.
Right. Because I'm like, I'm here. You're saying I'm here. I'm saying I'm here. But where is here? Because even terminology wise, as you say, category king, where we say Kleenex, it's a tissue, but you say Kleenex. We say Zoom. Like Zoom has just become that term as well for meetings. So Google, that was a smart move, and not the I don't recall an announcement. And this is the life we live. I don't recall an announcement. It just happened.
Yeah, it
And
was
since
just
we use
there.
their platform, I mean, by all means, they didn't need to announce anything.
Hmm.
They're looking at,
So
at
yeah.
changing the behavior. So there are a bunch of comments here. I just want to pull some stuff up here. So Evelyn, good morning, Evelyn. And I have a story to share about Evelyn. I might do it on the next broadcast. But she says, I just donated to the Anita Borg, which is the Anita Borg Foundation, after hearing yesterday's webinar with 4 excellent perspectives, including it's executive director Brenda Darden Wilkerson. Thank you for this conversation. So thank you so much, Evelyn. Thank you. And I did want to just highlight Evelyn, and you might have seen my head looking around earlier because last week I went into the office for the first time in months, and there was a card waiting for me there. And it was from Evelyn, just a nice touch because I'm pretty sure a lot of your friends have reached out to you to check in on you to see if you're okay. And that, even in that, well-meaning as it is, it can be overwhelming. And to have received this handwritten note, you can't go wrong with the handwritten note of just her care and just, am I okay? And that she's here with me. Like when I tell you that blessed my heart, my whole heart,
I
it did.
know it
So
did.
I'm so thankful that you're on this morning, and I'll have to do a screenshot and put it because I asked her permission. That's the reason also I'm sharing it. I was like, can I share? Because that was so thoughtful because we do broadcast on LinkedIn, and this is where a lot of these transparent conversations are happening now. And I think it's also important for people to see other ways that they can, check in on their comrades too.
Class act, so classy, and I'm glad that you had that. That's cards are awesome. Hey Tanya, that's like a man about to lose his girl because another man is catering to her, so he makes a move to keep her by stepping up.
That's
Hey,
what
it's
Google.
true life, true life. You know what I mean? Astute observation, very
There
much
it
so.
is. So and I'm sorry, T, because this was a great conversation, and just
Mhm.
going left to right and just seeing how these companies are. At the beginning of COVID-19, there was a saying, bless you, that it is, it's not business as usual.
Mhm.
Did you know that it was going to be this this far into it not being business as usual? We nobody saw the protests coming, knowing how long COVID, because there were talks that, the end of April that we would be out of quarantine. We're now entering month 3, but to just see how businesses have been able to react and to, the word is probably overused now. I wonder if she is on, she is writing I could almost call it like the human thesaurus, but pivoting
Mhm.
and seeing how they've been able to do that and how it is impacting their business and their overall marketing. I love the fact that we get a chance to do this each and every Tuesday and Thursday morning.
Yep, you and me both. And when, like I said, when people are forced to stop, like literally forced to stop, it makes us reevaluate what's important to us and what actually matters and what was kind of so everything we were reevaluating everything anyway. And so when this happened, there was a meme that went around that said like it was on Twitter, Black Twitter. It was like, how did COVID-19 blow 23-8 lead on racism? You know what I'm saying? Like how did that happen? But when we were all stopping, and so now people are forced to examine, okay, what matters, what doesn't matter. This is something that matters. And you're right, this is what it means to be alive. Because that's the joke, because you don't know. You
Right.
don't know what's going to happen. All you can do is show up in integrity and authenticity and do your best. And that's
That's
all
it.
anyone's ever asking of you. So, yeah, interesting time. Great conversation. And it helps me personally. And again, I thank you for starting this. I thank you for inviting me to co-host on your platform. It brightens up my day and it brightens up my week. And I'm so happy that other people feel the same way.
Well, let's brighten up some more people's day before we head out. And you shared that Thursday you're pitching. So, yay, T, excited for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
Thank you.
in you sharing, you spoke about Goody Nation and what they just announced recently. You want to talk to us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So first things first, shout out to Joey Womack from Goody Nation, Atlanta-based accelerator that is social impact. They do a lot of social impact stuff. He was kind enough to help me practice my pitch, and so gave me a lot of great feedback. Spent a whole hour with me, like going over literally slide by slide, word by word. And my pitch is a million percent better now. But they have the intentionally good project, hashtag tech done right. And so they are, this is the first cohort. So it's only for Atlanta based folks. So unfortunately in Cincinnati, I can't do it. But if you have, if you can scroll down a little bit more, it'll go through like the areas they're looking for. But if you're catering toward creating a pipeline for disadvantaged students, at-risk students, if you have a K through 12 sort of focus, they are going to connect you with everything that you need to facilitate that happening. And so yeah, keep scrolling. They have partnerships with all of the big names in there, and so they have the two divisions for tech talent as well as creating a space for that. So it's goodynation.org, goodynation.org, and it's right on the front page. You can get there from the main graphic. It's the Intentionally Good project. Applications opened yesterday, which was June 8th, and the cohort begins in July. So head on over to goodynation.org, check that out. Excuse me, if you're an Atlanta based startup, definitely get in that. Goody Nation is as good as it gets.
There
And
it is.
so
I just want
shout
to
out to Joey Womack again.
scroll up so folks can see that. So that is one opportunity for those of you. Please share this broadcast or tag a friend that could benefit, or just share with a friend that could benefit. They might have a program or maybe even something that they're looking to grow, where this accelerator program, this incubator, Joey has been in the game for a long time and has grown Goody Nation. They do, in the past, they've done hackathons. So this is an opportunity to get that support that you'll need to really grow and scale your and get as T said, get those advisors and that support. And I will close out with the I Fund Women. I don't know how many people might know of this. It's a funding platform. However, in light of everything that is going on, they have a branch. So this is not necessarily funded completely, like they didn't originate this fund, but an undisclosed donation they received where they're so essentially they're facilitating this fund for 5 Black owned businesses. There are a couple caveats, and that's why I've got it here on the screen, that you need to be in one of these locations: Chicago, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Minneapolis, New York, St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Louis, Missouri. So if you're in one of those locations, again, if you have any family or friends that are Black women who own businesses, and another little asterisk is that they last year they would have had to make over $100,000 in revenue, that they should go ahead right now, and we'll put this in our show notes, and apply for this grant, because this will afford them, they will get $10,000. Now, we can't say enough how critical this these opportunities are. There are a lot of funds and grants that are out there. A lot of them have various stipulations. And just to see that an organization, we've been talking about corporate communications, corporate branding, an organization, they didn't even put their name on this. They said, we just want to give your group, I Fund Women, this money so that they can give it to deserving businesses that could use this money. So $10,000, 5 women in one of those locations. So please share. And that does it, T, for this week's
That
episode. Thank you so
that is
much,
about it.
everybody who's been watching.
Yeah, this was fire. So we got some more for you coming on Thursday. So if you like this, please share it. Submit questions. Give us your questions. What do you want us to talk about? What guests would you like to see on the show? We will do our very best. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Tanya. And to get them on the show. So please, in the show notes, in the comments as you're watching this, tweet it out, share it out, ask questions, tell us who you want to see, and we will do our very best to bring that to you. And we will see you again on Thursday at 7:15 a.m.
Bye. I'm Liberty White.
And I'm T. Adeola. Later.
And you've been watching Breakfast and Combos.